Really excited to be here today to talk to you about what we've been working on with the MWBE and Small Business Initiative. So have you ever wondered where the tables in Times Square came from? Meet Daniel Levy. He's the CEO of Manhattan Home Design, and he was a Brazilian immigrant that came to the city with less than $500 in his pocket. He's one of the many MWBEs that has been able to become a successful entrepreneur through the help of the city's programs. And looking at this at a larger scale, the city does business of over $15 billion in contracts every year with vendors working throughout the city, making them a vital part of the economy in the city that they serve. As a result, the city has tasked us with a number of initiatives to help improve some of their programs that they offer to small businesses and MWBEs. The first was to define and count small businesses. The second was to create a marketing plan for the new MWBE capacity building program. The third was to develop criteria to screen applicants. And the fourth was to make the MWBE programs more effective for constituents. These have a number of long-term benefits for the city and its residents, including the promotion of small business job growth, as well as closing the disparity between MWBEs and non-MWBEs that secure contracts. So we spoke to a lot of people and did a lot of research, and we were able to come up with a number of suggestions on how the city should define small businesses. Bearing in mind the data limitations that the city faces within Vendex and FMS, we were able to come up with the short-term solution of a $5 million revenue cutoff to define small businesses in the city. This allows us to basically come up with the number of small businesses in the city given the current data that they have, and I'll address that in a moment. Going forward, we suggest that the city moves to be more in line with the state and federal definitions, allowing for future streamlining of processes and applications, making it easier for the vendors who do business with both groups. So now that we have our definition, how do we define or how do we count the number of small businesses that the city works with? There's a multi-pronged approach. As I mentioned, the first approach is based on the existing data that is currently in the system. The second and third are through self-selection of new bids and inclusion through new vendor registration. And the fourth, if there is funding available, we also suggest that the city could purchase third-party data through people like Dun & Bradstreet. So we took a little bit of a deeper dive with the help of the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, and we were able to count the number of small businesses that are currently in the system using this definition. We determined that 44% of businesses that are registered with the city would be considered small under the less than $5 million revenue cutoff. So now Josh is going to take you through some of the work that we've done on the MWBE program.
Thanks, Kate. As Kate mentioned, MWBs are winning a disproportionately low number of contracts with the city. The city is taking steps to kind of remedy the situation and has come up with 5 capacity building programs, which you can see here. These are mainly designed to launch in early 2012. And as a team, we were tasked with coming up with a marketing program to ensure that all MWBEs are aware of these programs and that they know the benefits and that they can attend them. So we developed a marketing strategy which really has kind of 3 overall groups. The first is SBS, or Small Business Services. SBS is the group that has designed these programs, will be administering them, and is really going to be the folks who are going to come up with the initial marketing materials and message. Moving out, the agencies are the various city agencies, and these are the groups that do the actual buying and contracting of the services. So if an agency needs a new table or a construction product done, they'll put out an RFP, and then vendors will bid on it. And so the agencies really have a lot of contact with them. Finally, partnerships and advertisements. This is kind of designed to reach the broadest group either through partnerships with nonprofits or through advertising in local newspapers, trade publications, or even on Facebook. We're going to dive into each of these a little bit deeper. So Small Business Services, as I mentioned, has developed the programs, and they're kind of currently in the state of developing the marketing message and materials. As this continues to come together, we kind of see that they have four main jobs to do. The first is using email, a website, and social media to really get this message out to the broad collection of MWBEs. For example, a blast email to all 3,000 registered businesses will tell them that these are coming out and when they launch and who they can contact. Secondly, as the programs launch, and they each launch individually, we recommend that SBS continue to do the workshops that they've done before. They held one a couple of Fridays ago that we were able to attend, which was very successful. And as the other four programs that are coming in January are rolled out, we recommend this continues. In addition, we would recommend that they consider doing these outside of Manhattan. It's very hard for a lot of these business owners sometimes to travel all the way to downtown Manhattan if they're based in the Bronx or Queens. So holding maybe a couple workshops around the city would make it easier for people to attend. In addition to kind of direct marketing, SBS also needs to play a quarterback role and help manage the process. So they need to work directly with the agencies to make sure that the message is consistent going forward, and they also need to manage some outside partnerships, both of which we'll talk about a little more now. So the city agencies, such as the Parks Department or the Department of Transportation, are the ones, as I said, who are doing the actual contracting. And what this means is that they have direct contact with vendors, both with minority and women-owned businesses, as well as other vendors all the time. This provides a great way for them to communicate the benefits of these programs. It's one thing to get an email. It's another thing to hear it from somebody that you've been working with exactly what's going to happen. Also, the agencies typically go to trade fairs, and workshops, and work with other outside partners, which is another way to get this information to a broader group of individuals who may not currently be doing business. Finally, the agencies and SBS need to work together, and they do this a lot now, and we would recommend that they make this a little more structured, and we recommend that they share best practices. The way that we would recommend this be done is by having all the MWBE officers at each agency have a quarterly roundtable where they get together, they share what's worked with their marketing efforts, what hasn't, and that way they can bring together good ideas that every agency can use and they can reach the most number of businesses possible. Finally, to reach an even broader range, we recommend going with partnerships and, if budgets permit, advertising. In terms of partnerships, for example, SOBRO, which is the South Bronx Development Corp., has an email list of 5,000 businesses that they help with. Most are in the South Bronx, as you would imagine, and we imagine the majority of which are minority-owned. Sending a blast email to their listserv with this information and with contact information will allow all of those individuals to find out about these programs. Finally, advertising is another opportunity. While the budget might not be big enough for the Post or the Daily News, there are certainly other alternatives that the city can consider. Cranes and ENR New York are construction-focused trade publications, which would target just construction firms, which is a major part of this initiative. In addition, local newspapers such as the Amsterdam News or the Bronx Times, which is actually an online website, provide significantly cheaper opportunities. And just to kind of tie all this together, we were on the Bronx Times website looking at their ad rates, and one of their examples is from an agency, a New York City agency that had advertised with them in the past. This is something that could be shared at the roundtable and help everyone understand how successful or not successful that was. And going forward, that would be an easier way to communicate that. So hopefully this is successful, and we get lots of demand for these programs. Unfortunately, there is capacity constraints, and so we looked at a couple screening techniques that the city can employ to understand which MWBEs should be let into each program. We kind of came up with three main methodologies: data-driven, application, and then a hybrid of the two. And in addition, we would recommend that the city look at certain groups of MWBEs, which you see under target, and match them to the programs that they think they would most benefit from and potentially screen that way. throughout the process of putting all this together, as Kate said, we interviewed a ton of people, and we heard a lot of information about the program in general, not just as it relates to these programs, but how the city does business with these vendors. Significant number of positives. The programs that SBS currently has in place are very well received, as is bid access through programs such as the 5+5 program, as well as guidance through the procurement process when somebody calls SBS and really gets a walkthrough of what they need to do. We also heard certain areas where the MWBs would like to have enhancements. They always want more access to agency buyers and they want more contracts. Industry-specific programming, as well as kind of a simplified process in online bidding, which we'll talk a little bit about now. So as we think longer term and outside of just these 5 programs, what can the city do to encourage more MWBEs to register and to bid? In the short term, and what we believe on the existing IT platform is to simplify the online certification process. Right now, it's a pretty big packet. It's fairly confusing. Anything that can be done to streamline that will encourage new registrations and hopefully new business. Second, because it's very complicated, often information is incorrect or the industry codes that the businesses want to work with are not right. So doing some type of automatic certification review, either through an email or a direct phone call after a new firm certifies, would allow firms to clarify their information and make sure that it's right. Going long term, this would likely require an enhanced IT platform, is to come up with one online bidding platform where firms can go see what all the agencies, all their contracts. This would also allow SBS to collect an online bidding history, which would allow for more detailed targeting of certain groups that may or may not be winning as many bids. In conclusion, we'd like to thank, first off, our sponsors, Greg and Emily, who are here. They were extremely helpful in setting us up with how the system works and giving us a ton of extra people to talk to. Our great mentors, Asha and Nikisha, were instrumental in helping us kind of craft our ideas and bring them together. City officials, agencies, outside organizations, we spent a lot of time talking to people around the city. And of course, our professors and Robin, who were also instrumental in helping us. Thank you.